everybody, this is Brady. Just wanted to let you know what we're doing today. Today we're going to be taking out the engine out of the 68 Volkswagen. Engine has been leaking oil. It's got a pretty good leak at the rear main seal, but it's also got another leak in the oil cooler seals. I actually ended up going down on my back in the making of this video, so this video is going to be a little bit shortened. I did a lot of the repairs, like the rear main seal and the oil cooler seals, off camera, just because I actually ended up pulling my back out. Anyways, what we're doing here is we're just kind of getting some stuff out of the way so we can go ahead and pull the engine out a little bit easier. I always like to pull the carburetor off first. It's a little bit fragile. Don't want to bump it, don't want to damage it. So we'll go ahead and pull that off, and we'll get some stuff out of the way. What we're going to go do here is go ahead and disconnect the throttle cable. Once we get that throttle cable disconnected, you can just let that fall back inside the doghouse. We're not going to need it for now. You're going to want to go ahead and disconnect the fuel lines. Under the car, you're going to need to make sure you go ahead and clamp the fuel line so you don't have fuel running all over the place, though. Here you want to go ahead and disconnect the cables that go to the heater boxes. There'll be one on each side. You're going to also want to go ahead and disconnect the heater tubes, which is going to feed the hot air into the car. Here you're going to have two nuts on the bottom and two nuts on the top. The top nut is actually going to be shared with the starter on the passenger side. When you're removing these bottom nuts, it's going to be a whole lot easier if you go ahead and use a swivel. That swivel head's going to allow you to get into that angle where the transmission blocks it. I've also used 2 or 3 extensions and actually gone more towards the middle of the car and been able to get a straight shot at it using that, but here I'm just using the swivel. Now that we've got the engine loose and it's just hanging on the transmission, we're going to go ahead and lower the car so that we can get a jack underneath it and help support the engine as we remove it. I always like to place the jack just a little bit behind the center of the engine, which would be right where the drain plug is. Just a little bit back. There's a lot of weight on the back side of the engine that's going to let it fall backwards if you don't balance it just right. So just kind of wiggle it like a tooth and pull backwards, and it'll go ahead and disconnect from the transmission. When you do that, be prepared to start balancing the engine because it will want to either fall forward or backwards if you don't have it balanced pretty good. What we've got right here is the throttle cable actually got stuck in the doghouse. So I had to go ahead, raise the engine up a little bit more and pull it out. At this point in time, most people would use a flywheel lock. What I like to use is an impact driver. It just makes quicker work of it. Able to go through, take those off without the flywheel even turning. You can also use a bigger impact driver to go ahead and remove that center nut without having to lock that flywheel down. A lot of times these flywheels will get stuck if they've been on there very long. This one was. You can go ahead and just kind of pry it a little bit. You got to be really careful with the case though. It's real easy to crack the case if you pry on that case. All I'm using is just some wire strippers and tapping it with a hammer just a little bit just to kind of break it loose. Then you'll go ahead and pull on it, kind of like a tooth again, same way you pulled the engine out, just back and forth motion while pulling. It should come right off. For reassembly, it's going to be exactly what you just did, except in the reverse order. You'll want to go ahead, jack the car up off the ground, slide the engine under, and lower the car over the engine, lift it back up, and stab it in.